Palm oil is a key pillar of Malaysia's economy. It's used in everything from cooking oil and instant noodle to soap, cosmetics, and biodiesel. As the world's second largest palm oil producer, Malaysia contributes over 30% of the global supply, generating billions in export revenue and supporting the livelihoods of over 500,000 workers. However, this success comes with a cost. To meet global demand, vast areas of tropical rainforests have been cleared to make way for oil palm plantation. This often leads to land use conflicts on indigenous territories, protected forests, or biodiversity hotspots. These conflicts highlight deeper challenges in how Malaysia manages its natural resources, especially land. Land is more than just a commodity. It is essential for agriculture, biodiversity, water cycles, and cultural survival. When poorly managed, land exploitation can lead to environmental degradation, climate change, and social injustice. Effective natural resource management means ensuring land is used sustainably and fairly, with long-term benefits for both people and the planet. The palm oil industry, with the economic value and environmental impact, stands at the center of this debate, challenging Malaysia to find a better balance between development and sustainability.
The palm oil industry is a cornerstone of Malaysia's economy, covering over 6.5 million hectares of land and contributing significantly to employment and export. However, this rapid expansion has also triggered significant land use conflict and environmental challenges. There's two United Nations Sustainable Development Goals are particularly relevant to this issue. The first one is SDG 12, which promotes responsible consumption and production, and the second one is SDG 13, which calls for urgent climate action. In relation to SDG 12, it calls for more sustainable resource use and reduced environmental impact from plantation system. In the palm oil industry, however, large-scale monoculture plantation often lead to deforestation, habitat destruction, and soil degradation. Between 1973 and 2016, palm oil expansion was responsible for around 36 to 42% of deforestation in Borneo and Sumatra. However, between 1990 and 2010, Malaysia lost nearly 8.6% of its forest cover, much of it due to palm oil plantation development. The production process also generates a significant amount of waste, such as empty fruit branches and palm oil meal effluent, much of which remain underutilized. This contradicts SDG 12 call for circular resource use and efficient production, while there are emerging solutions like converting palm biomass into bioenergy or organic fertilizer. Widespread implementation remains unclear. At the same time, the palm oil industry expansion poses a major challenges to SDG 13. Climate change mitigation is undermined by the conversion of carbon-rich peatlands into plantation. Drained peat soil emit between 12 to 77 tons of carbon dioxide per hectare per year, becoming long-term carbon sources. In 2020, reports shows that about 25% of Malaysia's oil palm plantations were on peat soil, leading to a high level of CO2 emission and making it difficult for Malaysia to meet its climate target under the Paris Agreement. In addition, peatland fire, which are often used to clear land, has released gas and greenhouse gases that contribute to regional air pollution and global warming. These fires also create transboundary hazards that affect millions of people across Southeast Asia, impacting health, biodiversity, and regional economies. In 2019, Malaysia experienced a severe health episode caused partly by fire in Sarawak and Kalimantan, linked to palm oil expansion. The air pollutant index in parts of Malaysia exceeded 200. It's very unhealthy, which affecting public health and drawing international criticism.
This section will focus on SDG 15, which is Life on Land, and its relevance to the palm oil industry in Malaysia. United Nations SDG mentioned that 13 million hectares of forests are lost every year, while current degradation of dry lands has resulted in desertification of 3.6 billion hectares, negatively impacting the poor communities. That is why SDG 15 aims to protect, restore and promote the sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems, manage forests sustainably and combat desertification and halt biodiversity loss. In Malaysia, the expansion of the palm oil industry has significantly contributed to deforestation and habitat destruction, putting at risk endangered species such as orangutan, Malayan tiger, and Bornean elephants. Large-scale land clearing for oil palm plantations not only threatens biodiversity but also leads to soil erosion and ecosystem degradation. For example, Global Forest Watch stated that in between 2001 to 2024, Malaysia has lost around 9.51 million hectares of tree cover, or 32% of the 2000 tree cover area, impacting the forest ecosystems. However, there are efforts to change this. Sustainable palm oil certification and agroforestry approaches are being introduced to reduce environmental damage while supporting the industry.
Malaysia, as one of the world's largest palm oil producers, has implemented key policies to address land use conflicts and promote sustainable practices. Two major initiatives are the Malaysian Sustainable Palm Oil MSPO certification and the National Land Use Policy (NLUP), which aim to balance economic growth with environmental and social responsibility. The Malaysian Sustainable Palm Oil MSPO certification scheme serves as the national standard for sustainable palm oil production, mandatory for all oil palm plantations, including independent smallholders and processing facilities. The latest revision MSPO 2.0, effective from 2025, introduced enhanced requirements to align with global environmental, social, and governance (ESG) standards, improve traceability, and embed ethical practices throughout the palm oil production. Key features include strict prohibitions on the conversion of natural forests, protected areas, and the high conservation value HCV zones after 31st December of 2019. Additionally, MSPO 2.0 requires environmental impact assessments (EIA), social impact assessment (SIA), and HCV assessments before replanting activities. The schemes also mandates management commitment to sustainability through grievance mechanisms, training, and continuous audits, reflecting Malaysia's commitment to responsible palm oil production and meeting international market demands, including those from the European Union. Complementing the MSPO, Malaysia's National Land Use Policy governs primarily by the National Land Code 1965 and supplemented by state-specific policies in Sabah and Sarawak, regulates land ownership and use. The policy caps oil palm cultivation at 6.5 million hectares to prevent excessive land conversions, bans planting on peatlands, and prohibits conversions of forest reserves of oil palm cultivations. It also emphasizes maintaining at least 50% of Malaysia's land under forest and green cover, with forest cover reported at approximately 55.6% as of 2017. Transparency is further enhanced by making oil palm plantation maps publicly accessible to monitor land use and prevent illegal encroachment. These measures aim to balance agricultural development with environmental conservation, thereby reducing land use conflicts and deforestation linked to palm oil expansion. Together, MSPO and the National Land Use Policy address land use conflicts by preventing deforestation and land conversion through strict no deforestation, cut-off dates, and bans on forest and peatland conversion. MSPO 2.0 promotes sustainability and accountability by enhancing traceability and enforcing mandatory certification throughout the supply chain, ensuring responsible palm oil production while discouraging illegal land grabs and unsustainable practices. Social responsibility is embedded through MSPO's requirement for engagement with local communities and indigenous people, including grievance mechanisms and recognition of native customary rights (NCR), which are particularly significant in Sabah and Sarawak. MSPO Principle 3 explicitly mandates reconnection of land use and native customary rights, requiring conflict resolution processes based on free, prior, and informed consent, which is FPIC. This helps mitigate social conflicts related to land rights and usage. The legal framework provided by the National Land Court and state policies support land ownership clarity and dispute resolution, reinforcing sustainable land management practices.
Malaysia has adopted several policy frameworks, particularly the Environmental Quality Act 1974 and the 12th Malaysia Plan. Both policies play the key roles in managing the environment and social impact of palm oil development. The Environmental Quality Act serves as Malaysia's primary legal tool for environmental protection. One of its most impactful components is the requirement for an environmental impact assessment for large-scale land development, including new palm oil plantation. This ensures that before any forest is cleared or land is developed, an in-depth study is conducted to assess the potential impact on ecosystem, water sources, air quality, and local community. For example, in 2020, a proposed palm oil project in Sabah was halted after the EIA revealed risks to endanger orangutan habitat and local water catchment area. This illustrates how the EQA can prevent environmentally and socially harmful projects for proceeding. In addition to impact assessment, the EQA strictly regulates pollution from palm oil operation. Palm oil mills produce a high product called palm oil meal effluent, which can severely pollute river if untreated. Under the EQA, all mills are required to treat effluent before discharging it. In case where these rules are ignored, the Department of Environment can fine or take legal action against the violators. For instance, in 2019, a palm oil company in Pasir Gudang, Johor, was fined for illegally discharging waste into a nearby river, affecting the water supply of surrounding community. Such enforcement protect the health and rights of rural population while holding industry accountable. While the EQA focuses on environmental control and enforcement, the 12th Malaysia Plan takes a broader development-based approach. The plan outlines Malaysia's goal to achieve sustainable and inclusive growth, with clear emphasis on protecting natural resources and ensuring fair land use. A key component of this plan is the promotion of Malaysia's Sustainable Palm Oil Certification, which sets standards for environmentally responsible and ethical palm oil production. The MSPO framework ensures that land is used legally, biodiversity is protected, and workers and indigenous rights are respected. As of 2023, over 96% of Malaysia palm oil plantations have been MSPO certified, helping reduce unsustainable practice and building trust with international buyers. Another important element of 12 MP is the country's commitment to maintaining 50% of land use forest cover, a policy aimed at halting further deforestation. This aligns with international environmental agreement and support Malaysia's effort to combat climate change while preserving biodiversity. Furthermore, the 12 MP explicitly support the right of indigenous community, who are often the first to be affected by land acquisition for palm oil development. It encourages participatory planning, meaning that community should be consulted and involved in land-related decisions. For example, the federal and the state government have recently increased effort to map and recognize native customary right land in Sarawak, helping prevent land grab and reducing tension between company and community.
To conclude, Malaysia's Environmental Quality Act 1974 (EQA) plays a crucial role in regulating the environmental impacts of the palm oil industry. By mandating EIAs for large-scale palm oil developments, including plantation and mills, the EQA ensures that potential environmental risks such as deforestation, habitat loss, and pollution are carefully evaluated before projects proceed. The Act also strictly controls pollution from POME, requiring proper treatment to reduce harmful emissions like methane. Thus, this aligns with SDG 12, which promotes responsible consumption and production of palm oil. Non-compliance with these regulations can result in fines or legal action to the industry. Moreover, MSPO certification and national land use policy work together to promote sustainable palm oil production by preventing deforestation and protecting peatlands. MSPO 2.0 enforces strict environmental and social standards, including recognition of indigenous land rights, which the land policy limits plantation expansion and increases transparency. These efforts support SDG 13 by reducing emissions and SDG 15 by conserving forests and biodiversity. These policies frameworks help balance the economic importance of palm oil with environmental protection and social equity, advancing Malaysia's commitments under multiple SDGs. That's all.